Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson. I'm here with Dominic McChesney. Hello, Dom.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well.
It's nice to be back doing podcasts. We've had a little break. Hope everyone has had a lovely Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Even though we're in February now or something. But
yes.
Fair bit to talk about this week because there's been a death, a new show, and a new film musical that I introduced Dom to the other day.
Yes.
I want to first talk about Moulin Rouge, which I saw at the Picadilly Theatre in the West End. And there are kind of two cabaret shows at the moment with very opulent settings. One is cabaret and the other one is Moulin Rouge. We haven't talked about cabaret on this podcast because we haven't been able to see it because it's... Do you know top price seats will eventually go up to £325 for cabaret?
Shame they're not increasing the actors' performance.
No.
Anyway, we won't go into that.
Hopefully we'll see it one day. And my dad's going to see it, so maybe we can get him on to
You
talk
said
about
that as if you're shocked. Your dad goes to musical theatre.
I know. But Moulin Rouge...
Yes, Moulin Rouge. Now, you saw it in New York, is that correct?
I did 2 years ago.
Okay.
Almost to the exact date I saw it in London. So
Right.
I was...
3 years ago.
Good God, yes. Well, it was 2019 I saw it.
Oh, yes.
No, sorry, it was January 2020. The world is such a weird place with years at the moment. I mean,
Yes,
I still
know.
think we're in 2020, which we're not. I saw it on Broadway, and
What sent you to see it? Why was it the show that you were most excited about seeing?
I was excited about seeing Moulin Rouge and Back to the Future, and Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Equally.
Yes. Right.
Because I like shiny shows, and I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the auditorium when it comes to Moulin
I did,
Rouge.
yes. It
is very, very, I don't want to say the I word, but it was very immersive. They've new gilding around the kind of edge of the circle, for example. So it's got gold kind of wrap around the front of the circle with a windmill logo on it and red drapes everywhere. And
But that was what appealed to you? It was the setting and the look of it?
I wanted to see the design. But watching the film, the Baz Luhrmann film, I've always thought this needs to be on stage.
Yes, but they said that the second that it opened. Yeah. I mean, everyone said, well, this is only a matter of time. But my understanding was it took so long. This may be apocryphal. It may not be true, but someone said it took some time to get the rights to all the individual songs.
Yeah, and there are a lot of songs in this musical. There are way more than the film. And this is the issue I have with it as a piece. So you've got the club scenes,
yes,
which they all have a big kind of, the opening is, and a review I watched the other day said this as well, and I tend to agree. The opening is one of the most amazing things you can see in the West End at the moment. It's just an onslaught of spectacle and song and dance and cast members just appearing everywhere, and the best lighting I think I've ever seen in recent memory. And I felt more, I will say I enjoyed the London production more because I was in a better seat.
Okay.
I was very lucky to be asked to see the show, and they put you in good seats. Whereas when I saw it on Broadway, I was kind of at the left of the circle at the back. So I felt much more involved in this production in London.
I assume that if you're sat at the left side of the circle at the back in London, you feel
possibly, but it's
a
smaller theatre, so it's more intimate.
Okay. Where's it on?
It's on at the Piccadilly Theatre.
Oh, right, yes.
So it's less wide than the, I think the Al Hirschfeld Theatre, I think I saw it. So it's less wide, so it's more intimate.
But it's interesting you said that about the opening number, because I remember I've only seen the film, and when I saw the film, my initial reaction was I just sat there going, oh, please pull the camera out.
Yeah.
Pull the camera out. I want to be able to see this from a distance, because it was so busy.
Yes.
I hated it from the opening number onwards. So
Right.
I just sat there waiting. I think the only number I enjoyed was when they actually put words to Offenbach. and they're all singing, but then they're just repeating the same.
Did you
line.
enjoy the original song that the film has, which is the most important thing in life is to love and be loved in return?
I wouldn't have known because I didn't recognise the pop songs anyway, so I wouldn't even know that. I remember just thinking this is a bit sentimentally saccharine. It's kind of La Traviata all over again, mixed with can. But I prefer can.
The caniata.
Yeah.
It works on stage because of the club setting, I think.
Okay.
And that is where the pop songs really do work. Where I don't think the pop songs work is when you have a serious moment like a death or a very sad moment, and they sing a pop song slowed down to sound like a ballad, and then the audience laugh because all they recognise the pop song. And it kind of removes you from the sincere moment of the story. I think if it were a blend...
so, wait a minute. You're because it's a pop song and it's recognisable, you're removed from the...
People chuckle.
So, you're not saying that a song at a death is...
No. It needs an original song because these, no matter what pop songs you do, they can't move the story forward. You'll still pause.
That is
You'll still pause in that moment, listening to a song that you know what words are coming next.
But pop songs don't develop as a rule.
Where it does work, again, is in the club scenes. You've got a line from a pop song here, a line from a pop song there, all blended together with counterpoint sometimes, which is very exciting. And it works because it's chaos. But when you have the intimate moments, I do think it really could have benefited from having a blending of the, dare I say, diegetic pop songs in the club to the non-diegetic original songs that we could have had for these more sincere moments.
Now, interestingly, I wonder whether people who know the film very well would find that as funny, because it's so long ago that the film came out.
But also, a lot of the songs they've added weren't in the film.
Right.
So it's not the same songs in the same place.
Right, I understand.
So there's obviously Lady Gaga, which wasn't around when the film was there. She had a great song called Firework, and that is her Satine's kind of number when she's feeling a bit down about herself. She looks at herself in the mirror and sings Firework. Should that be a pop song, or should it be about Satine and the character?
Well, I mean, if the thing about Moulin Rouge is the main link is that it is a pop song show. If it's not pop songs, then you're just rewriting Can with La Traviata. So I understand why they've done it, and also the thing is, if they didn't do that, then it's not really an impression of the film, which is what people want to see. So it seems a strange thing. So you either put in all original songs or you don't really.
Well, I think it should be a mix of the two myself, but it's not.
I mean, I haven't seen it. So,
and what I still got was an incredibly enjoyable evening. The opening of Act 1 is sensational. The opening of Act 2 practically got a standing ovation. I mean, it was just the most stunning. It always reminded me of Kiss Me Kate when it opened backstage.
Right.
And it's just set in a rehearsal space. And what it does do, which is clever, is at this point you've got all these relationships that shouldn't be happening.
Right.
So they sing Bad Romance.
Okay.
Which is a pop song by
I have
Lady
heard
Gaga.
of it. Okay.
And they also blend it with Toxic by Britney Spears.
Oh,
and probably other songs which I don't know as well. And that's done very cleverly, all done with a big Latin what's kind of
flair.
Yeah.
I think it's the word.
Kind of, what's the song that opens Act 2? Kiss Me, is it some
of Kiss Me Kate?
Yeah, is it the Hot?
Too Darn Hot.
Yeah. So it kind of reminded me of a bit of that. And the choreography is wonderful. I mean, they are working their metaphorical buttocks off in this production.
Well, quite rightly too. I mean, I should imagine that it's... for me, it's strange because I feel which it obviously isn't because it's proving popular. I felt the movement to... I felt the appeal of seeing Moulin Rouge on stage had died down because people have been talking about it for years, for over 10 years, that it's going to go on stage. It's going to go on stage. Oh, and it's really only companies like Disney who get a hit film and then suddenly go, it's getting on stage, and it's on stage within a couple of years.
Or they plan the stage show as they do the film.
Yes, exactly. Oh, sorry, be quiet.
All right. Percussionists, go away.
So I felt the impetus had kind of
died down,
that people weren't so interested in it. But it was a hit on Broadway, and it's obviously...
Well, it also just won 10 Tony Awards on Broadway, which is quite impressive. But then again, the competition wasn't exactly stiff.
No.
But it's good for the show, that they can...
Now, if it didn't have the luxurious look of it, how do you think it fares?
There's always that question of, if it were a black box production with a piano and a trombone, would it still have the same... And no, it wouldn't, because...
It's all about the lavishness.
It's inherently theatrical, and it's about the spectacle, and it's spectacular, and that's what the show needs. The cast members playing Satine and Christian, they didn't have the greatest chemistry, and this is one other thing that people are picking up on, which is a big shame.
And is that the way it's written, or
no?
You just
they're meant to be this most, absolutely in love couple, and I just wasn't getting it. And so the film, Christian is British.
Yes.
Satine is American, well, sort of French, but she's...
Where's Nicole Kidman?
Yeah.
But she's French, isn't she?
In this production...
There's a hint in her name.
We have an American actress doing a British accent for Satine.
Right.
And we have a British actor. They've made Christian be American.
Oh.
So I don't know what the dramatic reason for that is.
Odd.
Can't he just be British?
And does everyone sing in an American accent?
Of course, yes.
Right, because they're pop songs.
Apart from Clive Carter, of course. Now, for me, Clive Carter was the standout in the show. You
Fantastic.
You have the Lautrec character who sings with a kind of a cod French accent, but that's fine. He plays a kind of one of the Bohemian. The trio of Christian's friends. But Clive Carter
and
is...
based on, obviously, on a real character.
Yes.
So.
Clive Carter is the kind of MC character played by Jim Broadbent in the film.
Clive Carter's brilliant.
Yes,
as well.
so it's nice to know that role was in safe hands.
English musical theatre.
And... yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. The sound was brilliant. It's nice to, I won't say nice to see a loud show, but it was nice to hear a loud show because...
Could it drown out the people singing?
No, it was all... There's a lot of tech going on there with the mixing.
I mean, did it drown out the people in the audience singing? Sorry, I should have rephrased that.
Didn't have much of that, really. I
really?
think one person started humming along behind me, but generally they were very respectful.
Very good.
But if you paid that amount of money to see a show, you wouldn't really be...
It doesn't stop people.
I know
in other shows,
but I didn't see it at a weekend, so I'd be interested to see it at a weekend and see what because I know the crowds are slightly different. But it's just worth seeing it to see it. At least 8 lighting rigs come down in the opening number of different uses, and
it's one of those shows I would never go and see, but. If I got a ticket to see it, I probably would go along and I would most likely enjoy it.
Yeah.
But as a rule, it's not the kind of show that I would.
But if you liked the film and want to see it done differently with
more songs,
with a lot more songs
and live, so you're not. Yes, I mean that was the thing that annoyed me with the film was that it was dictating where you look all the time, especially in the opening number. It was just too much for my brain.
And it almost gets too much with this, but at least you can choose where
to look.
And there's some amazing... I mean, I know I bang on about the lighting, but the lighting really was incredible. They do Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And at one point, Satine holds out these diamond rings on her fingers, and about 20 lights just shine on her fingers. That's how focused the lighting is on this, and it just, and of course she comes down on a swing in her. There's a lot more in the club in this show, which not so much in the film. There's a lot more. Yeah. The whole opening number takes place in the club, and it also explains the characters' backstories a lot more, which is good. So there's a lot more time given to the characters.
ghastly.
Well,
No, I'm sure. Like I said, I think if I saw it, I probably would really enjoy it.
it's a show
I do
worth
like Clive Carter. I mean,
it's a show worth seeing because it's just astonishing. And I was sitting there thinking, this is funny because I saw Guys and Dolls in this theatre that had Ewan McGregor in it, who then went, of course, to do the film Moulin Rouge. Now Moulin Rouge is playing in that theatre.
I saw Strictly Ballroom there.
Yes,
which is
exactly. Another Baz Luhrmann thing.
I also saw, I think, A Little Night Music, the Ian Judge production from many, 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 many years ago.
Yes.
With Susan Hampshire and Peter McHenry.
Last thing I saw there, it had Annie there for a while. I saw Ghost there many times. It had...
Oh, is that where Ghost was on?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the theatre's completely unrecognisable now. The
Big
auditorium.
Elephant.
Big Elephant.
Everything's red.
There's a spinning windmill, which is quite fun. I want the elephant to move, but that's the kind of theme parky person. I want it to kind of spray glitter over the audience at the end or something. Because, the show doesn't have enough glitter. It needs more glitter. But yeah, if you like spectacle, big, kind of fun, loud shows. It's
with songs that you recognise immediately.
Yeah. In my case, songs I don't recognise immediately. And I wonder if they can say if we had the biggest pop song ever to be released suddenly were to happen. If it's in the show's interest to kind of put that song in somewhere, if it can stay up to date with pop music trends, I wonder if that would be something they would put the effort into. But I don't know
because the songs that were in it, some of them were many, many years old anyway. So I don't think it's not pantomime.
No,
So
one would argue.
Well, no, but what I meant is that it's not in the sense of what is done in pantos is. But you've also got... It must have been a legal nightmare to sort out
absolutely.
to get the rights for every individual
There's a
song.
credit list in the programme of every song used, and it takes up about a third of the programme.
Yeah, so I can imagine that would be... So I think the last thing they want to do is add another one.
But it would be cool if, that they could.
It would be cool, but I don't think it's going to happen at all.
No.
Because we all know that all the pantomimes in England absolutely pay the rights to all the individual songs they use. Moving on.
I mean, I know there's a famous thing when Sondheim passed, there was a thing going around on the internet of a letter from Sondheim to a pantomime director saying, no, you may absolutely not blend Sending the Clowns in with Baby Shark. Thank you, Stephen Sondheim. Which I hope is real. It might not be.
I love that to be real.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not. But.
So we sat down to do this episode, and as we were planning it, we saw that a British personality called Barry Cryer passed away.
Yes.
And I said to Dom, do you think it's worth mentioning him on Musical Talk?
And I said, absolutely, yes.
So has he done musicals? Or?
He has. I was looking up. I knew that he was in a musical called A Saint She Ain't. If you want to hold on for 1 second, let me just... which was a musical by Dick Vosberg. Now, this opened at the King's Head originally, which is a tiny theatre with... even smaller backstage. Well, it doesn't really have a backstage in the old days.
Room.
But that actually transferred to the West End, and that was a pastiche of all the Mae West W.C. Fields films. So, and it was also based on a Molière play, but using like the Hollywood characters and setup. And Barry Cryer played the W.C. Fields character. Now, they did release a cast recording, but it's a very simple show. There's only, I think, 2 pianos, I think it is. But he was in that.
When was this?
This was back in, I will just tell you, it was in 1999.
Okay.
And then it transferred to the Apollo in 2000.
I thought it would have been the 60s or something.
No.
It sounds
Why
like
do you
a
think?
sort of Salad Days-esque production.
No. No.
With 2 pianos and things.
No, that was just a musical choice.
Okay.
So that was just a choice. But if you think about all the films from the 30s, the score would have been very well. Certainly, this wasn't silent films, but these original films that would have had very small orchestras or bands. But it's not. That's not the kind of point of it, really. So, and it was directed by Ned Sherrin.
Okay.
It ran Yes, it ran at the King's Head, and then it transferred to the West End, which had it didn't run particularly long. Let me just find out. It only ran from September to January, and but it did have a 6-week run in the King's Head. But yes, he played one of the characters. Like I said, this W.C. Fields character. Apparently, it was great fun. A lot of people who saw it.
Did he sing?
I think he did sing. Yes, he did sing, and he's on the cast album singing. And the big hit from the number is "He's the Banana in My Pie," which was sung by...
Not innuendo at all.
No, not indeed. So, and the other thing, which I didn't know until I looked it up, but the other thing was he joined the original cast of Espresso Bongo, which was we've talked about before many, many years ago, because Millicent Martin was the lead in that with Paul Schofield, and Susan Hampshire was in that as well. So now I know that, well, many, many years ago, I know they were trying to find the score, and I think they couldn't find the score, they couldn't find the orchestrations, because I know that a couple of places were interested in trying to revive it. It would be a very interesting show to see, but he must have been a teenager when he did that.
When was that?
That would have been back in the 60s, I think. Okay. When was Espresso Bongo? And I'm not saying it wrong. It is actually called, for anyone who's going, yes, Espresso Bongo. It's not. It's Espresso Bongo is the name of the show. Not to
confuse the magician Ali Bongo.
No, not to be. And also, Espresso Bongo was made into a film with Cliff Richard. Not a particularly good film, because they just basically cut all the songs.
And of course, Barry Cryer was a massive writer of television. I think he did Not the 9 o'clock.
But he wrote for everybody, and he worked with the most amazing list of people, both here and in the US and around the world. I mean,
and I was at Jonathan Cohen's house once, and he rang.
Oh, did he?
He left a message on Jonathan's voicemail, which was quite nice to hear.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so that's remembering Barry Cryer. I'm sure if any other stories emerge, we'll share them on the podcast. But let's end this episode with a discussion that Dom about a musical that I saw in 2014, or it might have been 2015, early 2015, on the television.
Yes.
And it is called The Day We Sang, and it is written and directed by the late Victoria Wood. It was her last ever project, and it was part of a Manchester Theatre Festival that then went on to be performed at the Royal Exchange in Manchester, and then became a very sweet TV film starring Michael Ball and Imelda Staunton. It must have been at the time that they were doing Sweeney Todd, I would think, but we don't know. And I said to Don, do you want to see this thing called The Day We Sang? And you thought it was a documentary about the Purcell song, didn't you?
Well, no. I thought it was... I didn't know about the Purcell song, but I thought it was... I thought it was a dramatisation of the singing of the song, which it was, but it's not at the same time.
The reason we mention that is there is the Manchester Children's Choir, True, recorded this Purcell song in the 60s, and it became a very famous record, and that's the kind of the background for this very sweet love story starring Imelda Staunton and Michael Ball. But when I told you it's a full-on musical comedy, would you say, Dom?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Full-on musical comedy with book music and lyrics and everything, and you were laughing at the right places, you were moved at the right places, you really enjoyed it, didn't you?
I thought it was wonderful. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I when I was watching, it was nice to see Imelda Staunton playing
someone not on the verge of a breakdown.
Well, yes, I have to admit, I did it. I felt watching her how I felt when I watching her how I felt when I saw her do Into the Woods in the original production. It was a joy. I wasn't that keen of her in Follies, sadly.
Or Gypsy.
I did, the first time I watched Gypsy, and then I went back and watched Gypsy, and then I kind of went off her a little bit. So, but she is brilliant in this. So wonderful and warm and touching, and you absolutely believe that the two of them are falling in love. The songs are great, very, very typical Victoria Wood. A lot of little themes. You go, oh, she used that in Acorn Antiques, the musical. And the opening number, funny enough, I went, oh, that's very Sondheim-esque.
It is.
Whether it's the orchestration, I don't know. But I do think it's weird that you said not many people have heard of this.
Well, it's... I don't know, it just popped up on television on Boxing Day or something, and it just struck me as a very warm, incredibly touching little love story about a very normal, elderly, somewhat overweight couple that just...
They're not elderly, they're middle-aged.
Well, you know.
They're elderly for you, but they're not middle-aged.
But what I mean is that they're not young...
It's not a young ingenue couple, yes, good-looking, kind of, sort of, yes, square-jawed, yes.
Yes. And I think Michael Gibson was in it, but I didn't see his name in the credits, so he might be wrong about that. But Ian Lavender was in it.
Ian Lavender, yes, plays the...
plays someone.
Yes.
And it's just... The songs are brilliant. I just remember there's one song which I loved, which is about the Burney Inn. Now, explain to us what a Burney Inn is, Dom.
Well, a Burney Inn was the height of fashion in the 60s and 70s. It was the place you went for a posh meal out. I think it probably...
Was it actually posh, or is it
well, it's not posh. It depends on whether you come from Chiswick, so it's not La Trompette around the corner. But it was a different time then. So, I mean, I was only just born, and I was in Devon, so there wasn't probably many Burney Inns around there, probably in Exeter, but it was the height of sophistication in the sense of...
It's gammon steaks and pineapples.
Yes, it is. But
cocktails.
A grilled pineapple ring in the 70s was posh. Lemon wedge on your.
What I loved about this, watching it for the third or fourth time last night, it's inherently theatrical, and even so, these sequences they kind of turn into a theatrical set, don't they, with the big dance numbers
in the song that she sings. So yes, that, and yes,
the Burney Inn song, we have a kind of it goes
that's
into
true.
The theatrical world, and very rarely do we have two people singing to each other in the real world until the very end when they finally do fall in love. And I thought that was
the opening number they do.
They're kind of singing their internal thoughts, aren't they?
Yes, that's true. Yes, you're right. Yes, not in the real world.
But it's hard to find anything about the stage version, and I don't know, were there more songs? Because it was only an hour and a half on television, so there must have been maybe it's a fully developed musical, and it should come back because it's very, very charming, a wonderful vehicle for Imelda and Michael, and so different to Sweeney Todd as well, because it proves how good they are, and just wonderful. You were howling at some of the lyrics, weren't you, Dom?
I thought it was very funny. I mean, it was very typical Victoria Wood. There was these, the clever rhyming with something that is inherently Englishly mundane or Britishly mundane. And
when you journey into the Burney.
Well, yes, exactly. So,
you feel safe in her writing because it all rhymes properly, doesn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, this is my bugbear, as we've talked over many, many years, is that if you have rhymes that actually rhyme, they are real rhymes, then you don't jar with the lyrics. Your brain accepts them, and they're usually simple, and you remember them.
And the joke lands better as well.
Well, it does. It just feels we don't need to go into that conversation. There's just
but a lot of the music did seem, and I hate to say Sondheimy, and the kind of puns as well. And I wonder if she was thinking, right, I'm going to do this is a proper musical. It's not laugh out loud funny like Acorn Antiques was, which is her other stage. And she did another stage show, I think, for the Menier Chocolate Factory, though I can't remember what it was. And maybe she was kind of channeling Sondheim a bit to be a bit more serious with Michael Ball and Imelda. And
no, I don't really think that. I think Victoria Wood had her own style. And my only reason I said it was Sondheim-esque was just the orchestrations of the first number.
Yeah.
And
it's a piano rhythm.
And just because it had a hint of it. I wouldn't say, oh, she's absolutely channeling Sondheim, because no, Victoria Wood had her own style and had been writing for many, many years, and so I wouldn't say that. I think that would be unfair to her. And we've also had that conversation, which is suddenly it's been brought up before on Musical Talk, is how is Sondheim's sound really Sondheim, or is that the orchestra? Yes, exactly. So,
what were your thoughts watching it? Were you expecting more diegetic numbers? Because a lot of the songs are dream moments or internal thoughts. Were you expecting more people to be kind of singing to each other?
I didn't know what to expect at all, because I didn't even know until you told me that it was a musical. Okay. So I had no idea.
You went into it with no expectations.
No, the opening credits, because they show sections from the whole story. So I assumed from seeing some of the flashback things and went, oh, what's going to happen is they're going to join an Amdram society and find their voice, which isn't the story at all. No. I don't know what I wanted to. I was just really pleasantly surprised. It was just one of those things you just enjoyed from start to finish, and I didn't. It didn't have there wasn't a nasty element in it. There was the sad stuff about the mother and the son, which that was a bit.
It all
tragic.
gets resolved, doesn't it?
Well, she dies.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler. She's dead at the beginning.
But so we have two stories going on at once. We have Tubby, played by Michael Ball, as a grown-up courting Imelda Staunton, Enid, and then we have the story of how they recorded this song, "Nymphs and Shepherds, Come Away, by Purcell. Well, it was something like that.
It wasn't something like that. Sorry.
No, it's sung well. Nymphs and Shepherds. And then we have that going on in the 30s, I guess, 40s, 50s, I'm not sure. That must be the 40s. So you got those kind of... And there's
what was in the 40s?
The singing of the recording of the Nymphs and Shepherds.
No, early 60s.
And that was when they were grown up.
Oh.
This is when they were children.
Oh, flashbacks to 1929.
Yeah, 1929, that's it. But there's a lot of kind of Michael Ball singing to him, adult Tubby singing to child Tubby.
Yes.
And I wasn't quite sure, because there's a very odd moment where child Tubby has to escape.
Yes.
And Michael Ball opens the window for him. I thought,
yeah, okay. I have to say I didn't really get that. I didn't quite.
But it's a theatrical concept, isn't it?
It is, but it didn't really have. I didn't see the reason behind it, unless you were doing a kind of Groundhog Day sort of, how did he escape in the past? Oh, because his future self. So that was the one bit I kind of was. Was it? I mean, it wasn't so. It wasn't so important, but it just kind of makes you going to go, that's a weird choice, but it's a choice anyway. I've just looked it up. It was Michael Gibson. So,
yes,
I mean, we did recognise him. So, which was weird because he didn't have a song.
He might have.
Well, he had a song on the gramophone when they're playing the record. So he must be singing that song.
Yes. But the only place I could find it to watch was, I bought it on Amazon for £5 or £6.
And we absolutely recommend it.
Yeah.
And if you're... Oh, that was one of the things I really loved, was just all the use of old products in the 60s. So when you saw things like...
And the 20s
there was just so much... Well, no, but the 60s especially, because obviously it was the same stuff in the 70s when I was growing up. So I recognised the packaging of all these objects. I mean, it's almost a little bit too much, but...
There's lots of kind of... They open cupboards and it's just sort of full of thousands of brands.
Well, there is, and talking about mint matchmakers being the, it's very sophisticated to have.
Vim or whatever it was, what she mentioned.
Well, Vim, yes. Yeah. And so I loved that aspect of it. I thought that was great. But we absolutely recommend people to search it out. And if you're in
I think if you're in America, it is on BritBox in America, but it's not on BritBox in England. But you can pick it up on any streaming service that you can buy things. So like Apple TV and stuff. I'm sure it's on there for a couple of dollars or pounds. But it really is, if you like gentle musical comedies.
Yes, if you want proper writing, so songs that rhyme and a fun, gentle storyline, a leading couple who are middle-aged, and it's
normal.
Yes, it was lovely. And what I also liked was I should mention that in the scenes where you had dancers and chorus, it was always the same people.
So it did feel like a stage show, doesn't it?
Yes, but it was. That was, I wasn't linking it to a stage show at all. But the fact is, the people in the waiters in the Bernie Inn are the same dancers who are in the other songs. My favourite songs were probably the Bernie Inn and Enid. I thought Enid was a very good song. So highly recommend. Bravo.
Yes. Do check it out.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dom.
Thank you very much
for this week's episode.
Yeah.
Do check out our website, musicaltalk.co.uk, iTunes, Twitter, Instagram, and all that stuff. Until then, I shall leave you with a lovely goodbye, and stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Musical Talk. To find out more about the world of musical talk, you can visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk, where you'll find all our episodes, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Musical Talk.